Hi, ladies, and welcome back to the modules. So, I'm super excited to talk about this topic with you today because it's so important in our journey to be so aware of our emotions and all the things that are going on around us. That way, when we are aware of them, we can have that game plan to switch it, our reaction and our what we seek for when it in our case when it turns to food, we can switch that and find something else that really resonates with us and that we are comfortable with, so that we're not feeling like we're guilty for turning to food or anything of that nature. So this is going to be a really short and sweet module, but it does involve some homework at the end that I highly suggest that you partake in, because again, this really just helps you understand more and more about what is going on inside of you. And by doing that, it's better, it's easier to then be aware of when you're feeling that high peak state that you like want to turn to food in. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Okay, so we are talking about our emotional routines. So I'm not sure if either one of you have an emotional routine, but if you do, I want you to go ahead and write down like what that consists of for you, and like how much time are you taking for yourself throughout the day? What feelings and emotions are sparked during the time that you're taking for yourself? So if you're taking 30 minutes for yourself in the day, how does that feel when you do that? And if you feel like your highest vibe self during those moments, it's so important for us to anchor those feelings in. And we can anchor those feelings in by celebrating them, right? So we celebrate them by, for me, the dance party, or like I'll go on a walk or something like that. So really anchoring that feeling in and implementing, like, I am so happy that I did this emotional routine this morning. I felt great. Now I'm going to reward myself by going for a walk. And, tell yourself that that's your reward when you feel this type of way. Like, it's not weird, I want to say, for us to actually talk to ourselves and be like, okay, like, this is what I'm implementing because I chose to do X, Y, and Z. So by telling ourselves that we get this reward when it's not food, we're so used to rewarding ourselves with food and we don't even think about it. But we can reward ourselves in so many other ways, whether, like I said, a dance party, a walk, going to get like a new chapstick or a face mask, having a bubble bath, whatever it may be, coloring, any of these things that, really anchor in a feeling for you, going to the park, right? So I want you to go ahead and record your emotions for the next 5 days. Sounds like a lot, but whatever emotion comes up for you, whether you write it down on a piece of paper, whether you put it in your phone, whatever it is, record these moments for yourself and understand, like, when you feel anxious, like, why are you feeling anxious in that moment? Like, write that down for yourself. And this is from when you wake up till you go to bed. So if you wake up feeling anxious, write down that you were anxious when you woke up. You don't have to write down like 8:59, 9:05, 9:25, it's just like kind of like a summary, like, okay, in the morning time, I felt this way. And then say, if it changed later on, you felt this way, and so on and so on. So it's super important for us, again, to just be aware of these emotions and exactly what is going on when it's going on. And by being aware of these things, like I said, we can then intervene before they get out of hand, and then we start to turn to food. So I know all of our lives can be hectic and busy with having to do all the things all the time, But that's where these emotional routines really come into play for us, because when we have to do all the things, we also have to be making the time for ourselves, and being aware of ourselves and our emotions only is going to help us by not turning to food, right? So when you're so aware of what is going on inside of yourself, and you're starting to feel like anxious and overwhelmed, or even happy or sad or lonely, whatever the emotion may be, maybe even pain, right? And in those instances, you're like, your subconscious mind is telling you, like, we need to turn to food. But when we are aware of our emotions, then we can start to tell ourselves, like, okay, like when I feel lonely, I'm going to go to my friend's house and get some more hugs. Or when I feel some pain coming on, I'm going to go maybe have a nice bath for myself, or maybe meditate for a few minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it may be, however long you can meditate for. So I'm hoping, I believe that was my last slide, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen with you. I'm hoping that that all made sense to you, ladies. And again, if you have any questions on any of this, or if it seems to be overwhelming for you, try to look at it as just like bringing awareness to yourself. The more and more that we place the pressure on ourselves that this has to be hard, this has to be challenging, this has to be work, that is more of the diet mentality. So by taking a step back and being like, okay, this is my life. I want to implement for myself that I'm going to be aware of my emotions and what is going on. I want to be so observant to the things that are going on around me and how each thing is making me feel inside. That way I have a freaking plan of what I want to do when these things happen. So again, if you have any questions on anything, you know where to find me, and I will see you in the next module.